Welcome back to the Wanted Podcast. It's been a long 7 months, but we're here to talk about everything that's happened in those past 7 months and the One Piece sphere. So, first things first, let's talk about this live action.
Yes, the
So
the
now,
live
I know
action.
you've only seen like one or two episodes because we watched the first one together when around the time when it came out, and I caught up. That way, I could be able to review it more in depth and have an actual opinion. Just glaze it without even seeing
Yeah,
it, just because we watched the first because the first episode was very good in terms of adapting the anime. It was pretty solid.
I did see a couple. I did watch a couple clips online, but I don't think I have a full grasp of it though. Obviously,
But I can definitely say that even as someone who you would think is skeptical about it, like which it's good to be skeptical because there's never been a good live action. Definitely a great start with really minimal issues. Think of much that was actually really bad about it, other than a few things. Um, Really just involving some of the pacing. Although there's things that were cut out that shouldn't have been. Not going into spoiler territory. Definitely managed it correctly and were able to pull it off. That's what's
yes,
important. And we do know we're getting a season two. Actually, it was successful enough to warrant a season two. And the most important part is it got a lot of people into One Piece.
yes, bro. Like even people in my family and friends and acquaintances that I know have seen or is actively watching the live action. So it's great to see more people actually come into the One Piece spectrum of things through the live action.
Yes, and definitely, a lot more anime viewers. Although there's a lot of them, I've noticed where they said they're just not gonna watch it and they're just waiting for live action season two, which is fine. Not everyone's gonna be into the anime and manga medium. But most people who actually gave it a shot after the live action actually did agree that the anime and manga is a lot better. Um, it has a lot to do with just Oda's writing though, because it is always going to be better than I think what the live action will be able to pull off. Just
Yeah,
in the context of the story, um, written in the manga, or is written in the manga, because even in the anime, it kind of loses a bit of the story. Not story beats, but the tone is a little bit different, and there is changes that are made to the anime when it is adapted. Overall, I think it's great that people are getting into it.
yeah. I also think that it's very good that people are getting into One Piece nowadays. I wouldn't say One Piece, although it's the most top rated anime and manga, it is pretty slept on in the West. You know, people underrate it a lot because it doesn't have that much of a culture as it does everywhere else. So I'm glad to see that it's expanding.
I think the real explanation for that, I feel like a lot of people that pirates are boring. So when you hear pirate anime, you don't necessarily about the greater themes and the story elements that are in One Piece. So
Mhm.
you can just say pirate anime, but that's not really what it is. The deeper you go into the story, the more you kind of learn it's not what it's truly about. It's truly about just freedom and achieving your dream no matter what, which is perfect. And it's a good shonen in that sense. But I think the more underlying messages definitely add to the story and make it very relatable, very serious, because there is topics dealt in the story that you can easily connect to real life without going
Yes,
into too much detail. There are
and I also think that a reason why it wasn't as prolific as it is in Japan and why Naruto reigns more supreme when it comes to the West is because people grew up on it either through Cartoon Network because it was on Cartoon Network at one point, or Funimation, or just other streaming sites that is common in the US, like also with Dragon Ball as well. It was pretty prolific in the US as well. But One Piece really wasn't as talked about because I don't think the marketing was centered towards people over here like it was for Naruto and Dragon Ball Z.
Definitely not. A lot of that has to do um, with the bad reputation of the 4Kids dub. The overall reception to the English dub of One Piece used to just completely be against it, like it was blasphemy almost. But as I've kind of just seen more clips of it and watched a few episodes of it, bad, but I still stand when I say VA is just not good. It doesn't really fit him at all. That
Yeah,
she did well for as a pre time skip Luffy, but not post time skip. I don't think that's good at all.
yeah. Post. I mean, I'm used to it, obviously, but it just sounds like Kid Gohan, bro. Like you can't get that voice
Not
out of your
even
head.
just that. I think when people say Luffy's annoying, that idea from the VA, the English VA,
The voice.
because in Japan it fits him a lot better. Now, I obviously it's different. Let's say someone who's fluent in Japanese maybe thinks Luffy's annoying in that sense, which considering how successful it is, I really doubt that. If someone is annoyed, they're probably able to express it more. But the way it sounds as an English viewer, it makes sense and it sounds like it fits his character. But it also has a lot to do with, of course, there's only one VA for Luffy. What's going to sound the greatest? We grew up with that
Yes.
one, so it's going to sound really good. So overall, nostalgia does play a factor. It doesn't change the fact that it's just not good in English. His VA isn't good. I also really don't like Ace's VA and the dub. His voice is way too deep.
The
It
same
just
thing with
sounds like
Sanji,
it
bro.
sounds like generic well, not Deuteragonist, but generic strong guy like Dragon Ball.
Sanji's voice is way too deep, bro. In the of kids dub, bro.
Oh, the four
And
kids
the
that he had like
yeah,
a Jersey
yeah, like a
accent.
black dude. They literally gave him just like the voice of just your like it doesn't fit him. It's like urban when he's supposed to be like
Because
elegant.
it's like a joke voice
Yeah,
in the four kids dub.
he talks like
One thing I will say is I do kind of like Luffy's four kids dub voice. I don't think it's the same lady, if I'm not mistaken, that did it in the four kids. It probably isn't because the four kids had a completely different dub. But it wasn't bad in that one. But Sanji's was just atrocious. It's crazy to think that they did get like a decent chunk of the story in the four kids dub, as much as they would still cut out.
yeah. Didn't they get to like Water 7?
They might have. I know that they got to Alabasta.
Yeah,
There's still a
that's a
lot of
great.
promos you can find for Alabasta online of like old commercials. I know they at least got to Alabasta, but I'm sure they got pretty deep into it. That's
I
also because they were
remember.
skipping arcs. They were
Yeah,
skipping a lot of arcs too.
but I remember being younger. A core memory of me is me sitting. I think I was either staying up or it was early in the morning, and One Piece was on the TV, and I was watching it, and um, it was the scene where Robin was telling the crew that she wants to live, and honestly, after that, it was I restarted watching One Piece to its fullest, and it really just grew on me ever since I was a kid. After that point,
So for me, One Piece started with me going to the store to buy Soul Eater manga, and it was Barnes and Noble. So I went there and I saw it on the shelf. For some reason, I like my perception of One Piece at that point in time was just, oh, that's the anime about food, because of course Luffy was always seen eating meat and a lot of the promo material. So I was like, oh, that food's just about just eating food. Like it's just an anime and manga
that's
about eating food. I didn't know that it
that's
was a pirate
Toriko, bro.
anime.
That's
Yeah, I know.
Toriko.
Yeah, so I saw that and I was like, okay, I'll check it out. because like obviously like everyone, I started with Naruto. I started with High School of the Dead. That was my gateway anime. Was High School of the Dead because I was always
Oh
really
man,
into zombies, and like COD zombies and stuff like that. So I was just that's what got
wasn't
me
that
into
a
anime.
wasn't that around the same time Attack on Titan came out as well?
I think so.
'Cause my mom
Uh,
used to watch High School of the Dead, and then I saw her watching Attack on Titan
High
at a
School of the
level.
Dead. I know it was like 2011 because the only reason it didn't get a season 2 was because of the tsunami that happened in like 2011. Remember
And I just
that
never
there was
got
like
it.
speculation if it was even going to get continued, and the studio got destroyed by the weather, so they just finished it. Manga kept going though. The manga is all right. Like looking back on it, it's not very good. It's definitely like early 2000s manga.
Mhm.
It's not very good, but it's not terrible. It's definitely just a fun kind of gimmicky. Yeah. It's a good zombie manga. I still think it's the best zombie anime at the
But
moment.
yeah, bro. I mean, you got people shooting snipers through titties and shit, bro. I mean, it's like, yo, yeah, I seen that scene as the first time as a kid, bro. Like, I was, I was
Bro,
just
and
astonished.
it's funny because it was a gateway anime, but it was also we watched it with like it was me, my older brother, my dad, and my mom watching that shit. And I remember it would just be so awkward when they would have those scenes, and I didn't know anime was like at least like the more mainstream stream ones. It was a lot of the like the sexualized characters. Every time it came, it was just kind of awkward, bro.
Yeah,
Like
bro.
that, but it was like it also just became funny to us. Nose bleeding thing. We were so confused, like what that was, like why that happened. Eventually, picked up the High School that had manga. The back of the manga, they actually have like a little section that tells you what all the different things mean. How I learned a lot of that stuff. And then we went back to Barnes and Noble to get more manga. Went to go get the Soul Eater one. The lady, the little attendant, was trying to tell my dad that Soul Eater was too violent for me. I remember that.
wow.
Then but yeah, like I said, I saw One Piece on the shelf. It was the big volume. I think they were. I'm trying to remember what arc it was on at the time. I think it might have been Punk Hazard. Trying to remember.
Yeah,
Maybe
because
not.
how old were you at that time, bro?
At that time, I think I was 8 or 9. I think I was either 9 or 10 actually. Trying to
Um,
remember.
9 or 10. It was probably it
Like
definitely wasn't on.
2015, 2014-ish.
I think in 2015, yeah, they were on Punk Hazard.
Because it was
'Cause
almost Dressrosa.
I remember in 2016 people like I remember in 2016 people were making fun of Gear Fourth all over the internet, bro.
I
Because
think my
yeah, I
initial
remember that.
concept of what the anime was gonna look like was it was just gonna be like a Pirates of the Caribbean anime. I remember thinking like a Gear Fourth was gonna show up on like some epic beach ship battle because in my head that was like pirate anime. That's what I'm expecting to go into. But obviously when you watch it for yourself, then you're like, holy shit, this is nothing like what you expect it to be.
Yeah,
Um, and yeah, it was good. I'm glad I never did, and then I'm glad I wasn't the guy who only caught up for Gear 5 and then disappointing because you rushed the whole manga or anime. Like, oh, it's disappointing. Like you didn't even pay attention at all if you really think it doesn't work.
yeah, fucking loser, bro. This guy who sits here still complains about the show and hasn't even watched all of it at all. Like they probably at most watched Wano to catch up with the arc. I know a couple people who did that, bro. Watched
So
Wano,
let's talk about
catch
that.
up
Let's
with the
talk
arc.
about the Gear 5 episodes since that has come out in the past 7 months time that this podcast has been absent.
Oh yeah,
So
we was actually
of
hyped about
course,
that.
Gear 5 episodes were amazing. Only
Oh
bad
yeah,
parts had to do with some of the pacing. Definitely the first episode, the Orochi stuff could have been cut out.
Oh
Still a
my
good
god, that
introduction
was
to Gear
good.
5. The animation was great. One thing I will agree that people have said was that it is very fast, but I think that kind of aids Gear 5 just in terms of how exciting it is. But when you go back and rewatch it, it's a little different without the initial hype seeing it for the first time. And then you're like, okay, it's kind of very quick and then it's over, which is a little disappointing. But still a
Well,
great episode,
yeah,
still a great animation, and it was
it
amazing.
correlate with the manga because they're trying to add more filler, but in the manga, if you want to be real, it's like they really only had like a couple pages in
You
total.
know,
I'd
because
say they
most of that
probably had
fight
like 10.
in the initial episode was completely original for the show,
Yeah,
which was good, and
like
I'm glad
like
that they
Luffy
didn't just
moonwalking,
adapt
bro.
that. That was, bro,
Moonwalking on air.
it was amazing, and I don't
Still one of the
think
funniest moments.
I wouldn't have had it any other way. And I know people have said that they wished all episodes were combined and like it was just one hyped up episode, but
That wouldn't be
come on,
good.
bro, it would have been lame to only have one episode and then like, oh, that's it. Maybe like one or two episodes, then he beats Kaido, and that's it. It would have been a little
And
lame. Then the hype would have been
we
over. And then, bro, especially the Dragon Ball fans, bro, they still would have been on fucking One Piece fans' ass. They'd be like, "Oh, it was only fucking one episode,
yeah,
imagine," or
bro.
some shit like that.
Fandom's still
Like, oh,
coping, bro.
everyone
It's
forgot about Gear 5.
like Gear 5 is still talked. Well, Gear 5 has been talked about all year before it even came out, and it's still being talked about now.
And
I
it got
think.
a bunch of people to catch up just to see it.
Yeah,
But
bro.
like, even if they didn't like it, bro, they took the time to catch up just to hate, which is insane.
Yeah, these niggas will go to any extent, or they'll just watch the clip on YouTube.
There's a lot of people who just watched it and was like, "Oh, what's this goofy ass shit? This is not better than Ultra Instinct." I was like,
Yeah,
"Okay, well, like
they didn't
without
even know what it was
context,
about.
Gear 5 is weird and doesn't look right, but the animation's still like phenomenal even without context."
Yes, bro. My only grime with it, I'll tell you this. My only grimes with it, one is what you said with the they obviously had to have a couple scenes to fill out the episode before they showed Gear 5, which I'm not mad at. But one of my other biggest grinds with it is that they had a recap episode before Bajranga.
Yes,
And
that definitely slowed down the pacing and really sucked to have to wait. Didn't make sense at all as a recap. Because if either I would say this: either they did it before Bajrangan, before he lands it, or they just didn't do
yeah,
it at all.
yeah, that
They
they
shouldn't
should
have
have
done
done
it at
it.
all. And honestly,
They,
in my opinion, they shouldn't have done it at all.
they should have done it last episode, right? When Kaido's having his flashback. Next episode, it's a recap, and it's just a whole episode, right, of just Gear 5, all the scenes. And I think that would have filled in a good portion of it. Probably wouldn't have filled in all of it because I think that. Well, no, I think it would have. Up until that point, we would have gotten 25 whole minutes of Gear 5. Every scene just put together nonstop, and that would have been the definitive Gear 5 episode. And I think that would have been one of the best episodes in One Piece so far. Just and it would have been a recap episode too. Most action packed episode.
I think definitely within all the Gear 5 episodes, or I'd say the first one and then the other one with the then there was actually a lot of good ones. So 1070 first one. It was the intro. I don't remember the episodes, but it's the
Come this
intro
way.
and then where he does the beat loudly heartbeat where he restarts his heart again after running out of steam. Then the episode after he catches the lightning bolt, because obviously when he first caught it, that looked like a fucking PowerPoint slide
Oh my
presentation.
god, bro.
That was
That was so
terrible.
tough.
But I'm glad
That
that
was bad.
they were able to make a comeback with the next one and actually made it look a lot better, which I was happy. But then yeah, that one where he actually did throw it, the animation went crazy with the spinning around lightning. That was definitely one of my favorites.
Yeah,
Animation that,
honestly,
and bro, he went giant again, which I don't think he did.
bro, I
Manga.
don't know why people were trying to compare that. He never went giant to throw the thing in the manga, bro. That was only a fan animation.
There was a fan animation where he went giant and then grabbed it and threw it, and he never did that.
Yeah.
See, the thing is that the animation looks good because it just changed how the flow of Gear 5 was. Not in a sense like the anime changed it because they added scenes in between panels of him doing stuff. That's different. They straight up changed like the order of which the actual canon manga things happened. It looks badass, but I think in terms of the anime, it just felt wrong. It just would have felt like a fan animation.
Yes. But I mean, it looks great. It looked great overall.
Yeah, it
Gear
still
5,
looked great. I'm glad all the original scenes were still amazing.
Overall, Gear 5 to me was a really good, very hype moment in anime history. You know, on Crunchyroll servers week after week. First time everybody was coping, but after they saw that the second and third week Crunchyroll was
Then
down,
there
it was
was
like,
still
yeah,
Cope. There's still Cope, bro. Cope to this
definitely on
day.
that. But let's have some predictions because the live action season 2 did get confirmed. So let's have some predictions on what can happen on
So I
those.
gotta say, I think it's obvious we're gonna have to either cut arcs short or there's gonna be arcs that we don't even see at all. They cannot afford to cut out Little Garden. I don't think they should cut out Little Garden because of Elbath, even if, I doubt we're ever gonna get that far in the live action. It'd be cool if we did, but I don't think it needs to go that far. I mean, just to get out of the way, I think it should end at Marineford if they are gonna get to it.
Yes, live action, yes. And
But
that Marineford.
can't cut out fucking what's his name? Dory, the fucking giants. You can't cut them out. I think they're an essential part. They give them the log pose that has the what I think is like they had to stay for like or something, and they just gave them a log post that has already been reset to point to the next island. You out. If you want to cut out anything, I think you can easily make the Mr. 3 fight really short. Just not even do it.
Yeah.
Because a Mr. 3, you could also just do it as a gag. Shows up, he's using his candle ability. Then what? They easily take him out. Don't even waste time. Because that could take.
Yeah, that could take a while. I'd say this is how they should do it, right? I'm not you finish it, right? So they end at the boat
Yep.
scene, I presume, right?
Yeah, so they kind of like that the East Blue film.
Yes.
They end at the boat scene before they go to the Grand Line.
Yeah, so live action was basically just a movie version of East Blue films, all cut down and short. So I presume they're gonna go that route with the Alabasta. So what they're gonna do is, right, they are going to go to the Grand Line, go to Logtown. Logtown is literally just gonna be a one episode, all of it. One episode of Logtown, because there's not gonna be any flashbacks, no nothing. Right? And then they where do they go after that? They escape
It's
Logtown,
Logtown, and then it's Whiskey Peak, right?
Yeah, I think no, it's Logtown, and then it's because you have to get Chopper. Remember?
Oh wait, no, but they pick up Vivi before Chopper. Remember?
Yeah. Yes. So you pick up Vivi. So it is Whiskey Peak, I think, and then Nami gets sick. They have to find the doctor. Chopper comes. That's gonna be like.
So yeah, so we
that,
already know 100% the Chopper is going to be in it.
Yeah.
So we know they're going to do Drum Island.
I believe that. So So first episode is them.
Oh no,
Logtown.
okay, so it's actually Logtown, then Reverse Mountain, Whiskey Peak, then Little Garden, Drum Island, and then Alabasta. If they really want to fit anything, you have to do 1, 2, 4, 5, 6 arcs if you want to be able to cover everything, including all of Alabasta. Which, to be honest, I don't think we're gonna get the conclusion to Alabasta this season.
I think we can, because the thing
I
is,
think
right?
they can.
Episodes are an hour long. So I mean,
I
typically
think
that's
you
basically
could
a
knock
short
out
movie.
you could knock out. Okay, listen, Logtown, Reverse Mountain, then Whiskey Peak. I think you can knock out with like 1 to 2 episodes.
Yeah, like that, and so those could be knocked out in basically like 1 to 2 episodes. Whiskey Peak
You got to remember,
and Logtown.
it might not be 8 episodes. We might actually get 10 episodes because I think originally we were supposed to get 10 episodes for season 1. They cut it down later. But if they're making a
I
lot more
remember
money
hearing
off of
that
this season, they can
as well.
afford to do 10 to 12 episodes.
Yeah, so we can get more episodes. That's the thing. And so I'm thinking like, all right, even if we have 8 episodes, they can do Logtown and Reverse Mountain and going into Whiskey Peak in 1 episode. I mean, if you think about it, bro, we got in the first episode of a One Piece, we started at where Luffy meets Kobe, then he meets Zoro, and then he is um on the way to where is it, Baratier?
And they go to Orange Town to get captured by Buggy.
Yeah, then they go to Orange Town to get captured by Buggy. All in 1 episode, bro. Like in one single episode. They
And
got
then
down
episode 2, all of Orange Town. And Guinea. Wait, what was episode? Now that bro, it was so much. It was very enjoyable. I'm trying to remember if they even Syrup Village. No, they didn't. Only just got to Syrup Village at the beginning of episode 3. I mean, they knocked out a lot of stuff fairly fast. It was very good. Okay, so I will say this. In terms of the live action, they did not do Usopp's story as much justice as they should have. They cut him saving his village, which I feel like was very important.
Yeah.
His sacrifice of saying like, I'm gonna save the village even though they can still believe I'm a liar. That should have been in live action and it wasn't. I will say that was kind of bad because in the live action, bro, Usopp doesn't do shit. Even like the one thing he's supposed to be good at, the cannon, so they get confronted by Garp and trying to use the cannons, and then Usopp goes to use the cannons, which is the one thing he's supposed to be able to know how to do. Free time skip. And then I skip, but in the East Blue. Then he fails. He drops all the cannonballs. He doesn't do that. The rest of the show, his role is very minor. You got to give them credit. At least they were able to get all of East Blue out a lot of those story beats for some characters. Focused on just Luffy, Zoro, Nami. Sanji's flashback was really good. They actually did some manga stuff in his flashback. Good with that. Sanji stuff was really good. Really enjoyed Sanji. But yeah. So season 2, cuts that they make are just gonna have to be ones that make sense. Whiskey Peak, bro, that can probably be a good 30 minutes. I don't think it has to be long.
Yeah,
I think they can get to Whiskey Peak. They can fight all the Baroque works that are there. They can pick up Vivi. They can get out. I think the episode can end with them leaving Whiskey Peak. Whichever episode has Whiskey Peak, I would want it to be towards the end. So hopefully, I would say end of episode 1, they either arrive or are leaving at Whiskey Peak. Of episode 2, get Whiskey Peak out of the way and then keep going to Little Garden and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think that's the way that it could go. And I think they could just do Alabasta in the last, 4 episodes? Because I mean, it's an 8-episode journey. So I think they could really
say for Alabasta, I think they will do this just because of the kind of topic it is. But I do want them to actually about the Civil War in Alabasta. A pretty big deal. What's going on there? Yeah. And it would also help the world building. Since One Piece is very much known for its world building in terms of elements.
But let's say this, right? I have one question. Do you think with how the narrative nowadays and a lot of the media is being pushed, do you think the Luffy punching Vivi in the face scene is gonna be?
I actually was thinking about this, and honestly,
I don't think they're gonna cut it.
I think they can do it. think it would be fine. Already established that Luffy doesn't care. He's not sexist. He doesn't have an issue with anybody, but he stick up for what he believes in, and he will knock sense. But bro, the scene where he just slaps Kobe. Like,
yeah, bro.
I get Kobe is a man, so it makes sense. But I think people forget. Okay, so Vivi initiates it. It's Luffy.
Oh my
He
god.
punches her back, and then he's arguing, saying like, they're gonna fight too. And like it's more so of like a fight about beliefs and how you should treat things and how you should care about things, your people, innocent people getting hurt, stuff like that. So it's not like they were fighting because they hate each other. They were just having an argument, and that's just how Luffy.
They're gonna twist it, bro.
Stuff.
They're gonna twist the narrative. One Piece is already, that people are, other actors are already trying to come after the One Piece cast for being paid more, and they're trying to push a certain.
Bro, I've
narrative.
actually noticed on TikTok there are some, I want to say B-list actors that are trying to get into One Piece, which I think is good. We can actually talk about this. Casting, don't want any A-list actors or actresses. Do not want Megan Fox in One Piece. I do not want Arnold Schwarzenegger in One Piece. I don't want Pedro Pascal in One Piece. I don't want any of these these club members in One Piece. First of all, I think it's so distracting, the story.
It would be
to have A-list actors. Like the one I saw a lot, Arnold. Oh, I'm sorry, Arnold as Garp. No, it would not work. It would be terrible. Arnold can't really do any other accent than his own. And that's just not Garp. I think Garp's Scottish accent, although it was one that was a little okay, I guess this is where they're going. It was still good, and it still felt like Garp. You could still imagine Garp having that voice. Jim Carrey as Bon Clay? No, just because he looks like him doesn't mean he could play him. Also, Jim Carrey's way too old. The reasons, but what's the other one? There's another one. Eminem is not NL. NL can't be Eminem. That would be terrible.
Imagine if that nigga NL just starts spitting, bro.
Although it would be funny and it would be, I guess, kind of cool to see. No. Know that everyone's like, oh, NL's design's based off of Eminem. Yes, design. That does not mean he should be played by him.
Yeah,
because you need someone that can portray the egotistical god complex of NL. That needs to be someone who can really pull it off. It can't not just be Eminem, right? Pedro Pascal should not have been Gold D. Roger. He would not have made a Gold D. Roger. He's not.
This is why fans can't write One Piece, bro. This is exactly why.
Anytime I think of fans talking about anything how the story of One Piece goes, I just think about that one tweet, like, Blackbeard brings back Ace from the dead. Luffy has to kill Ace.
Like Blackbeard, how the fuck
you made me kill my brother. You will pay. Dear God. And it's like the full body hockey Luffy. And I'm just like, bro.
Like, what the hell is this?
It's terrible, bro. It's Naruto writing. That's what it is. It's Naruto writing with Dragon Ball transformations. That's the kind of anime that they want from One Piece, but that's not what it is. Just like everyone thought Gear 5 was going to be this badass dreadlock Luffy.
Oh my god.
Sun Wukong. My god. Just wasn't. And that's okay.
That's great, bro. I mean, it's like, it's something
Even
new.
I was like, I'll be honest, I don't think I really would have liked the Gear 5 design if he did have the flame hair. Just his regular outfit. I honestly don't think I would have liked it.
I'd say this, right? If Gear 5 was a more serious, I'll say this, right? It makes more sense for his color, the color of his clothes to stay the same, right? and I do like the fire hair. I'd say for the color and for narratively, him being called the sun god and having fire color hair makes more sense than him just being, having puffy curly white hair. But at the same time, right? It wouldn't fit with the goofiness, the goofy nature of Gear 5.
No, it wouldn't have. I would have.
So it's like, I'm glad that they went the route that they did and making him change the color of his clothing just because he wants to.
What I am glad is that Oda actually did kind of confirm is that it's weird. So in Film Red, he had his Film Red outfit, pirate outfit that Uta gave him in the Dream World. When he went Gear 5, the outfit disappeared and he went to regular Gear 5, regular Luffy clothes with a little bandana thing wrapped around his waist, white pants, white button up.
Yeah.
In the manga, when he goes Gear 5 at Egghead, he is shirtless. So when he goes into Gear 5, he's still shirtless, has his shorts on. Which I think he could manifest the outfit if he wanted to. Goes into it right away. His clothes will just turn white. I think that makes sense. It especially makes sense with the scene where you actually see him power back up when he's fighting Kaido, and his clothes kind of slowly go back. Even in the anime, not even just the manga, it slowly turns white again.
And it looks like his clothes are draining.
So I'm just trying to think other designs that you could have for it. I still do think we will see different versions of Gear 5. You got to remember, Gear 5 is also just an awakening. It's not a gear.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, there's potential for a Gear 6, or what I like to call a fusion gear of Gear 5 and Gear 4. And he mixes them two together. Because the thing about Gear 5 is we don't know to be real, we haven't really seen much like downsides of it.
Yeah, and he's only not even just downsides. The only downside we've seen to begin with is just when he gets tired. That's the only one we've seen so far.
Yeah.
But I think downside wise, what it will likely be is that he kind of loses himself the more he stays in it or uses it, because with the whole keeps laughing, right? And he'd probably eventually just get very delirious, just kind of doing whatever, and he could potentially risk making a play by not thinking too straight. Downside, I feel like, is realistic for Gear 5. Though, even so far, with his current fight in the manga that we'll get to, he does still seem to be very smart and with his battle IQ in terms of like problem solving.
But the thing is, right?
When he's fighting Kizaru and Kizaru uses his light clones, and he's like, "Oh wait, hold on," and then he does a stamp to kind of hit all the clones at once. He doesn't actually hit Kizaru because Kizaru, too fast for him to really keep up, and Kizaru's probably like just a few seconds ahead of him in terms of speed. Luffy is still really fast, but besides the point. Really misses him, but he was still able to assess what was going on and make a good play. I don't know how that will change the more he uses it, though, because he does get better at making it last longer. I think he can use Gear 5 for 15 minutes, I think they said. We got a number somewhere.
I'm on it, to be real.
I know that the more he laughs, the stronger he gets. I know that. Really, that means his power, as far as we know, doesn't really cap off. This will be probably, like I said, something about him losing himself and his power.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think... I want to say is a form where he's angry. Or like very, very serious. I mean, we've seen him get angry, but in more so of a cartoonish kind of form where he starts fuming and it does look like his hair turns into flame. I think it's still just the white hair, but it takes on a more rigid appearance. I could see like a dark. I don't want to say dark version. That just sounds very Naruto-esque.
Dark,
Dark
yeah.
Gear 5 Nightmare. Oh, well, Luffy already has Nightmare Luffy, but that would be
Yeah.
Nightmare Luffy and Gear 5 would be sick to see.
But we're
Luffy
never
is still
gonna
a
see
pretty
that.
good We're never seeing that shit again, bro. No, people
It
said they
wouldn't make
wanted to
any
come back.
sense.
We're never seeing it again, bro.
It doesn't make any
Yeah,
sense.
I don't. In terms of the forms, I think, like you said, we're just gonna see him mix the gears with it, or just because you could argue that muscle form that in Gear 5 is kind of like a bounce man in terms of how it looks.
I'd say this, bro. The best way to give Gear 5 a downside, which I don't think makes any sense to give him a downside and not everyone else that has an awakened fruit a downside. Because I mean, who are the other people that have awakened fruits in the series? I know it's Katakuri.
Law, Doflamingo, Lucci, what's his name? Fucking Kaku. There's more, bro. Kaido's awakened? I think it was. I think. Kind of hard to remember. There's so many characters, bro. So like
Hybrid Kaido doesn't even have like a downside, to be real, right? We haven't seen him get fatigued in his like jumping out of his hybrid form.
The only time we've seen him fatigued was just after he initially fought Gear 5 before Luffy powered back up.
So I'd say there's no time limit to it, but obviously energy and fatigue. I think that's the best way to pull it, because it's not going to be like, oh, it's just another gear, but it's an awakening.
Yeah, because it's his awakening, which I also don't think it takes his lifespan. I've seen people say that, but because it's an awakening, I do not think it affects his lifespan.
Yeah.
And I feel like people got to remember, even with his gears, the lifespan thing is really just to kind of raise the stakes. I think it's really dramatic. I don't think him going into or all the hormone stuff that he did with Ivankov to survive the poison, I don't think that really took too much off his life. And you also got to remember, people in One Piece live very long, so
that's gonna get.
Don't think it's really gonna affect him a whole lot. I don't think he's gonna die at the end of the series. I think that's a little too much. I don't think he needs to die. The series.
Yeah, same here.
But to get back on topic, Gear 5, no, I don't think it has a life force drawback other than it just consuming a lot of your energy.
And that's what I'm saying. I think
it leaves him vulnerable if he runs out of energy.
But I think another good way to do it as well is Gear 5 having a major, I wouldn't say major drawback, but it's not strong enough for the Gorosei. And then that's when his final form, which is just the Gear 5 fusion method, which he only uses.
Unless, I mean, he could just form, but just start using his other gear attacks in Gear 5. Because he, technically he could. Only other big upgrade to Gear 5 was just him realizing that he can do anything. Because, of course, Luffy's not exactly aware of that. He's just kind of doing things that he thinks he can do. If he was got a confirmation yeah, you can do anything, he would be a lot smarter about how to manage it, and he would anything, bro. I remember initially it was believed that his power also means as long as he believes he can do something, be able to accomplish it, and that includes something like winning fights. But maybe, not likely. Because it makes sense, when he pulled the goggles out of his hair, what we could tell is glass because there was a reflective shine coming from the goggles. He can make things, and he can pull off any attacks that he wants in terms of his freedom, but I don't think he can just determine the outcome of fights. Because, like you said, it probably isn't going to be enough for the Gorosei or Im.
Yeah, but I'd also like him to, to learn how to adapt with his Gear 5. Instead of just tapping into it, master his Gear 5. right? Instead of tapping into it and just staying in there, he can switch in and out of base from Gear 5. Sort of like he does with Gear Second.
Yeah, because Gear Second really is just his base form now.
Yeah,
He doesn't go
it's
Gear Second anymore.
like
So
when you see Gear Second, and a lot of the times he just doesn't even use it. He only really uses Gear Second for like the jet.
because he's
move.
already so fast that he might as well just not even be using it because base form he's can still blitz. So
Yeah,
it's really just a matter of how Oda wants to take it. I mean, of course, that's how it's always going to be, but I think it will be handled well, and I think Luffy will have some sort of another power upgrade, but like it's just going to be him mastering Gear 5 more,
and
not
speaking of
necessarily
him,
Gear. I don't think we're going to see a Gear 6.
yeah,
I feel like it takes away from Gear 5, and since we're in the final saga, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. It was just like, oh, Gear 6 is, I guess, another version of Gear 5, but just say Gear 5 man. Okay, bro. I really hate when people say Gear 5 is Nika man. That sounds terrible.
yeah, it's
It
not.
makes sense for the Gear 4 like Snake Man and Bounce Man. Gear 4 just has the Tank Man, Bounce Man, Snake Man. Nah, Nika man. Bro, come on. I don't even think he knows that he has the Nika fruit.
Yeah,
It's
he
other
still thinks
than
it's broken.
what he was told kind of in Skypiea. I don't even think Luffy was told that actually. Remember, but no. 5 is good transformation. They handled it well.
Mhm.
We're just gonna
And
really see the extent of the power as the story progresses.
and another thing is right about Luffy not being strong enough because he's gonna have to find like a power like somebody formidable for him or somebody that knows a counter to his devil fruit, which I'm sure there is.
I think
But
his counter is Blackbeard because with freedom and anything can't go against something that absorbs thing and takes everything.
yes,
That's why it makes sense. You know, they have the darkness, which is Blackbeard, and then Luffy's white, powerful fruit, which just in design they look like opposites, which is good.
you
So his
know,
counter is Blackbeard.
and I don't want Kizaru to be stronger than Luffy. I know a lot of people are on the side of the admirals being stronger, but I think even just seeing how far we've gotten into the story now, it wouldn't make sense narratively for Luffy to lose again because he has something to prove. At least the Kizaru, maybe Saturn and Egghead, but it's like he has something to prove against Kizaru narratively as well, and everyone's still doubting him that he's still weak. So it's like he really needs that confirmation that he is a Yonko, and I think fighting Kizaru is the best way to do it.
Yeah, I believe so. In general, yeah, Kizaru shouldn't be stronger than Luffy. I think if Luffy's
Like
gonna, if like, bro, if they're fighting right now, one of them has to die, and obviously it's not gonna be Luffy. Luffy might not kill him, but I think he will put him out of commission for a bit.
I think the way this is gonna go, right, and the way that it's probably gonna go narratively, because there's obviously, you know, other narratives that people want to create, like all admirals are stronger than Yonko and all that. I don't care about that. I'm just saying, in the story wise of One Piece, it makes sense that, this fight would go, Luffy fighting him. Luffy takes his hits, Kizaru takes his hits, right? But in the end, Luffy just sort of incapacitates him. But the thing is, these people are already pushing the narrative that Kizaru um, he isn't trying and he's holding back and if Kizaru loses, he was just holding back type shit. And it's like it doesn't make any sense because why Kizaru was known to carry out his mission. Why would he let Luffy win and hold back
Yeah,
rather
so
than just
at the beginning of Kizaru's arrival here, it was already established that he were to complete the mission. He's a cog in the machine. He's going to do his job.
Mhm.
It's good that it already establishes that he won't be holding back because he has a mission. I think the only hold back thing is that he said that he's just there to take out Vegapunk, and we saw that because he was just looking for an opening to pass Luffy. I don't think he
I
wants to deal with Luffy, but he's not
Yeah,
gonna hold back against him.
and that's the thing. I think what they should do, right, just to really cement it, is to have him use his Devil Fruit Awakening, just so that people wouldn't be like, "Oh man, he was holding back," you know. I'm like, why would he? Like, it just doesn't make any sense why he would hold back against Luffy and lose the battle, lose the mission, just
Especially he's
because.
dealing with a Yonko. I don't think he's gonna run
Exactly.
that risk.
But they're gonna still be like, oh, he's holding back, so he lost. He got taken by surprise, and I'm like, but if it was Luffy though, they'd be like, oh man, Luffy's just weak. He's just too weak. Although you can use that same narrative, being like, well, Luffy's holding back because his crew's around him, and he doesn't want to hurt his crew. You see how it doesn't make any sense.
Speaking of Luffy being weak, this is not how we get a time skip, bro. I don't. If we're getting another time skip, I don't want it to be through Kizaru again,
Yeah,
because I don't think if we like, even if we got one, I don't think we need one right now.
the thing is, right? It's not. It's not. It could have worked in the beginning of time skip, but Luffy's a Yonko now, bro. He's one of the four emperors of the sea, so it's like he's basically at that status where it's like we don't need another time skip because he's already at the top of the food chain, already in the top four
Exactly.
most
So
dangerous.
if
pirates.
anything, if we were to do a time skip, just have it maybe. And I don't even know. I don't think we need one at all. I can't even really think of a good place for it because it's just so unnecessary. I do believe that there was an interview where the it's bad that I don't know her name. Well, I have an idea of it. Luffy's Japanese VA said she was gonna have to adjust her voice for Luffy's aging again. At some point in an interview, I think that was said. I don't know if that's true. If it is, and we do get a time skip, I just don't know where exactly that could be put for it to really make sense. Obviously, Oda would probably make it make sense.
Yeah,
Like it on an outside looking in, I don't see it.
it could make it work, bro. I mean, I think the way they're gonna do that, if they do choose to go time skip route, is probably after they find the One Piece route. Like, it'll be like after everything's
Yeah, I
all,
think so.
and then it'll be like the time skip after the new pirate age is finished. Show Luffy as like a
Because
30
I
year old.
think the misconception that a lot of people have, and that even I had, is that Oda said that the story would be over when they find the One Piece. What he did say was the journey over. So at that point, they find it. Now it's just about Luffy's dream is after finding the One Piece. We don't
Well,
even know his actual dream.
and that's when we're gonna find that out after he finds it, because he'll be finally able to do it. I mean, Roger found it, but he didn't never achieve that from what we know.
Yeah, so if anything, after they find it, but I don't think we're getting a time skip here. I don't think Kizaru was going to separate them again. It's going to be a matter of Luffy
Oh,
saying,
no.
"Hey, you guys run off. You guys go get away. I'll handle Kizaru." No, I think Kizaru's fight have to end here with Luffy, and if not, he's just going to get put out of commission for a bit.
Yeah, bro. Because I mean, if Luffy loses, right, what's at stake? Who else is gonna fight Kizaru, bro? Zoro can't
Exactly.
take him. Zoro's already pretty fatigued because he just got fighting. So like 3 other battles, and he just beat CP0. So it's like Zoro's not gonna be able to take him down. I feel like Luffy right now is at the point where he can defeat. I wouldn't say Aokiji or Akainu because they are the top of the admirals, but I think he can definitely defeat Green Bull, Fujitora, and Kizaru at his stage now.
I honestly don't even think we're gonna see Fujitora fight and actually do that at all. I think Fujitora will be one of the Marines after all the Navy and world government. The world government will be abolished at the end of the story. I think that's kind of obvious. But when the Navy's redone by Kobe, because we know that's what he's probably going to do,
Speaking
I
of
do
that,
think
bro,
Fujitora will still be there, or at least if they do like God Valley recreation and have a big battle, and then you've got maybe some Marines teaming up with the pirates to fight for the greater good of society in the world. I think Fujitora will be one of them. From we already know how he feels about Luffy, about people like that, and he feels about the world government and their tactics.
yeah.
I can't see him really being fought as an enemy. I think he will return as an ally, or be one of the Marines that just kind of lets the Straw Hats get away wherever he finds them. He knows deep down that Luffy is a good person. That's all that really matters.
And the thing is, Fujitora is a good person as well. He's not no corrupt government official like Green Bull were. Because Green Bull's the worst out of them. He's considered technically like a
fraud
bad guy.
bull, bro. This
Like,
man, bro, pulled up, got scared by
he got
Shanks
fucked
and
up.
dipped.
Bill got pulled up, scared by Shanks, dipped. I mean, it does make sense why he would dip. He had everybody there, and it's like he couldn't take them all by himself. But it's just like he sort of did get just like bitched out.
I mean, bro, if you really think about it, if the Straw Hat crew acted like the Jump Beard pirates and just jumped everybody they saw, they could take out all the admirals. I would say, bro. Like if they jumped Kizaru right now, Kizaru's not winning. It's Luffy, Gear 5, Zoro.
Oh yeah,
King of Hell. You got Jinbei, Sanji with Ifrit Jambe.
and the thing about Gear 5 is it's only going to adapt. Like I'm sure soon we're going to see a Bajrang Gatling, and that's just going to be.
I know it's only a matter of time before we see that. He's gonna
Because,
use that probably on
every move,
team,
every
bro.
big move he has, he's made a Gatling out of it. Fucking King Kong, he's made Kong Gatling, King Kong Gatling, fucking.
Or he made Rock Gatling like almost after he used Red Rock, like almost immediately after, bro.
Yeah, bro. Gatling is just his signature fuck 'em up move, bro. So it's like it's either that or axe, elephant axe, or stamp.
So speaking of the future of One Piece, we think we're getting any more crewmates, or is there any returning members other than Vivi? I think it's kind of obvious she's going to come back for the Straw Hats, and I mean, she is a Straw Hat. Let's talk about characters like Carrot, Yamato.
Carrot, okay, so I'll tell you this, bro. It's been basically confirmed that Yamato is the next Straw Hat, but she has a purpose of staying, which is to protect. Obviously one, or it's not safe yet. There's going to be Marines coming over there, knowing that Kaido, because that's the only reason why they haven't been trying to storm the borders. It's just the big threat of Kaido. And now that he's taken out, they need somebody to protect the invading Marines.
So not just that.
Momonosuke.
I also think that Yamato is just gonna stick with the Oden, even though she needs to be like her own person. I think that's gonna be part of her character arc. She's probably still gonna do the Oden thing where she's just traveling the world, join the Straw Hat crew. Yeah, maybe we'll even catch her somewhere in the future with another crew traveling. Be like, okay, I'm gonna leave from this crew. I'm gonna come with the Straw Hats. Where maybe I maybe see that. I don't know how that would work.
I think that would be too much of a parallel though with Oden and Roger. Because I mean, who else would she go with?
Oh wait, bro, but you also gotta remember, does the book? Did she read? Did she know what the One Piece where it's at?
No, he left it out.
Okay, yeah, I think I do remember. Yeah, it was like torn out, I think, or something like that.
Yeah, Oden left it out. He couldn't put it in there. I think that was a part of it.
But didn't he also not go? If I'm not mistaken. Oh, okay. I'm just trying to remember that flashback. It was quite a bit ago, but yeah, still. I think of reasons why Yamato really couldn't join. she is a Straw Hat. They already said that she has a spot on the crew, like with Vivi, whenever she wants to come back.
Yeah, she just wanted to stay to protect the kingdom, and I think they're going to encounter each other again before the end of the series. Like I said, I think she's probably going to.
Carrot should have joined, bro. I'm gonna be real honest. I feel like making her the leader of the Minx. I don't know. It makes sense. Kind of earned that spot, but at the same time, it was just so random. It was just like, oh yeah, by the way, you're the leader of the Minx now, and she was like, oh me, okay, well, makes sense. I guess because you can't have two Straw Hats, or future Straw Hats introduced right there. I mean, you could. It would have been a little weird.
And I think with her is that she's not strong enough, bro. I mean, they're going to be facing people above Yonko level now, and just to have her, it's basically like having another. I wouldn't say who's strong, but at the bottom, not Frankie, Brook. It's like having another Brook on the team, where it's like he has his moments, and she will have her moments, but it's basically rare because I mean, the full moon, it's like it's not a consistent thing for her to go in the Sulong, where she could just do it at any time, you know. Maybe if she was able to go into Sulong and then she was able to learn hockey and stuff, she'd probably be like, all right.
I think if anything, bro, what it will be is that for the final battle, the Minx will be like allied with the Straw Hat Grand Fleet.
Oh yeah, bro. Bro. That battle is going to be crazy. It's going to be all the world government, all the.
I think
Marines.
We're finally going to have like a proper ship battle too for that. I hope. Bro. Like an actual pirate battle with the government would be very sick as a part of the final battle of the final war. We know that the war is coming. It's starting right now. They're setting things up.
Yeah, the war. I think the war is going to be basically the battle for the One Piece. There's going to be something very catastrophic. I wouldn't say a death, because I mean, I don't think there's any other bigger death than the death of Roger and the death of Whitebeard. No other character.
Let's not say death of a specific character, but what if they find the One Piece and it is something just so revealing about what the true inner workings of the world is and how things are supposed to be, and the government just goes full mask off and just starts killing innocent people and innocent countries. They use the Mother Flame, because I'm sure they're going to perfect how to use it consistently. They just start blowing shit up, bro, just killing people, trying to eradicate, hit a reset before Luffy does whatever it is he's going to do.
The thing about that is it'll be too late to reset everything. They have to reveal themselves, and they have to basically just establish an open world, basically an open world dictatorship. Because at that point, everything that has been revealed about them is to the public. So it's like people are going to start rebelling, and I guess that's when Imu shows her face. And I think that can happen, or something similar to what happened with Sabo is they basically just reveal that Imu is alive. Sabo does, and he has footage or whatever. Maybe he took a Denden Mushi camera with him and took a picture of her sitting on the empty throne.
That gets it's just, bro, there's a lot of ways that this finale can go, and a lot of things that Oda can do.
The thing is, right, I kind of don't want Im to be revealed during the final war, because that's going to take Luffy off of, Luffy versus Blackbeard. Because he's obviously going to be fighting Im. He's the main character. That's the final villain. I want her to be her own separate thing. The final war with the Marines break out for the One Piece. Luffy finds the One Piece. Right, the world is shook by this war. It's like a long fight, like longer than Roger versus Whitebeard crew. Like this is like a week-long fight, of ages. So many Marines have died. It's broadcasted to the whole world, right? But then, at the end of that fight, the world government gets revealed. Im gets revealed somehow, right? And then that's when it comes into play, because it could be like the Marines lose and they're heading to the One Piece. That's when Im reveals herself, and Meguro says start fighting the people that are heading towards the One Piece because the pirates won basically, and that they're their only last line of defense. Eam shows her face, absolutely just obliterates everything in sight, bro. She's that strong, and then that's going to lead us into the final fight arc for the One Piece. Luffy defeats Eam, activates the One Piece, whatever it is, and then the world is that's broadcasted to the whole entire world, and then boom, the great.
I mean, bro, if anything, I could see like a siege on Mary Joie.
Yeah,
bro, pirates just start pulling up and just killing. What do you call them?
They're going to free the slaves,
bro. They show up. They start killing celestial dragons, bro.
That's where the final war is going to be. I think the One Piece is somewhere near Mary Joie, or maybe
bro,
in it.
We still have to fight the Gods Knights too. You gotta remember those people. They gotta get fought somehow. If they're gonna pull up, it'll probably be during the big fight with Eam.
And that's what I'm saying, bro.
And then Shanks is gonna pull up, bro, because he's most likely related to that one fucking dude, the one God's Knight.
It's gonna be a crazy war, and I think all of it is going to take place on Mary Joie, because they're gonna have it on the Marine base, right? Boom, that's the first war. They're going to win that, or they're going to start winning. And I think the war is gonna start on the bottom of Mary Joie. I'm pretty sure there's an island on the bottom of Mary Joie, because the Mary Joie is on the top of the red line, right? Pretty sure there's an island on the bottom of Mary Joie. They climb that, they climb that war. They climb that wall, head straight up to Mary Joie. That's when we figure out that's the God's land, and everybody there starts fighting. Boom, that's that in the third, and then that's when Eam comes out. We all fight them. Luffy gets sent. Luffy, runs and finds her one-on-one. They have their battle, and then he knocks her down, right, into the basement section, and that's when we find the ancient kingdom, Joy Boy's homeland, and we realize that the red line is basically just over. It's just covering up all of the ancient cities and all the ancient establishments that's been there. And then we find the One Piece, and then we destroy the red line across the entire world. And that reveals all the hidden history and secrets of the world. And it lowers the sea levels, because I think that's another reason. I think the ancient city is just deep in the sea.
There is a Japanese theory. I think that there's this YouTuber, I think it's Dawn and Dusk. I will link it whenever we post this, but she translates Japanese theories. I don't know if this was her theory. I know there's a video where she has translated just Japanese theories, but there's one where it was like the axis of the earth gets flipped from wherever the world government's doing. It changes the sea levels. Even just when they blew the hole with the Volusia Kingdom, when it did that, there's something that they can do to change it. And it could be something like that where it is either sunken, if you want to do Atlantis stuff, kind of like that.
Mm-hmm.
I could easily see something like that.
I definitely think that the ancient kingdom is underneath Mary Joie, and Eam has access to it.
And that's we're about to see what's up with the ancient kingdom, because we already saw that the giant mechanical robot was reacting to the drums of liberation.
Mm-hmm.
So we could see that pretty soon. At least just more information on how that kingdom was. We now know that they're at least somewhat linked to Joy Boy, which was kind of obvious. But
I do hope soon. I want to learn more about. But the thing is, we have to learn about Joy Boy. Eam has to get revealed, bro. Unless they reveal her.
When Eam gets revealed, we'll learn a lot more about Joy Boy. We still need to get the confirmation on what's the deal with a giant straw hat that's frozen in Mary Joie.
That's Joy Boy's, bro.
Yeah, so could be something like that where Eam's revealed, maybe walks up to the straw hat, and then we get a little bit of a short brief, like one panel of what a silhouette of Joy Boy. I can see something like that. That's kind of what Oda does. I don't know if he would just reveal it like that. He's got a silhouette of Joy Boy within the next year or so.
I hope so. I hope by the end of this year, actually by the end of this year in the manga, we get something just confirming or more about Eam. Like it's about time to start revealing things like that in that nature.
Yes, absolutely.
Because we're reaching the end of the story, we at least need to be connected with the final villain, bro. You know.
Yeah, but no, they're not gonna pull a Naruto Kaguya, bro. I don't think he's gonna do that. Because it was just terrible. That was such an ass pull, bro. That was so terrible.
That's what I'm saying, bro. Like Eam has been established. We at least need something that's like, okay.
Unless there's a connection with Shanks. See, okay, the hardest part of One Piece is what is he gonna do with Shanks? Because we already know Shanks wants to claim the One Piece. What's going on with that between Shanks and Luffy? Do you think Shanks is probably a fucking bitch? I mean, we know he's a snitch, 100%. Yeah, tell the Gorosei, bro. So
tell the Gorosei.
It's kind of like it's the point where he's set up to be like he is a twist villain, and again, you could twist it and say no, that he's not.
I think what it is,
I want to believe he's a good guy, but at the same time, it's like there's so much shit. Like he's a celestial dragon. He did it to the God's Knights, most likely.
My theory for Shanks, which I believe will be 100% true, is he's a villain by omission. He's basically one of those people that are maintaining the structure in the world because, you know, potentially, if the One Piece gets revealed, it could potentially end the world. I think that's one of the other things that has the One Piece at that is
yeah, it could reset the world in a sense. I don't know if we said this on a podcast, but you were saying like he's could show like a future world after the fact when the world government's abolished, and it's like thousands of years ahead of stuff. I know you said that at one point. I could see that. Like maybe the One Piece does something like that. It could be something where he accomplishes, he resets the world, and then just everyone dies. Everyone dies. There's no happy ending for our characters other than the fact that they saved the world from being controlled. I wouldn't like that kind of ending, but I could see the ending where like there's a history of the pirates that saved the world.
Because the thing about that
defeated the dictatorship government.
The thing about that is it's too dark for One Piece.
I mean, Oda did say he still wants it to be he said he doesn't want it to be a serious anime still or manga.
Yeah, that's not very. That's like something that Attack on Titan would do. Like, you know, a crazy ass ending where it's like, all right, we need to reset the world from the Titans and kill every single human being and every single living creature on this planet, and then it's just gonna naturally restart, and we're gonna be reincarnated. That's on some crazy shit. I don't think One Piece is that deep. I think what it can be though is a different kind of world reset where something like the internet basically something like the internet gets revealed and there's actual footage of the void century and the years before it, and history has been altered along with changing the structure of the world, destroying the red line, and just establishing, because I think, you know, now seeing that the sea levels were rising, one, because the red line, and two, because we saw how Lelouchia Kingdom, the sea levels were rising because it got destroyed. That would make sense why Fishman Island is a thing, and why.
I mean, we can even attribute that to the fact that Noah's Ark is by Fishman Island. What was it? It said Fishman Island was going to be destroyed, that they were going to use that to save everyone.
And I think
that's what they said.
I truly think that Oda is a masterful story writer, bro, and it reflects a lot about real life religion as well. And especially when you think about the Noah's Ark, it is a clear, obviously a clear reference to the Bible, but it means that he had a mission to do something, right? Similar to Noah that Noah did, which is bringing all the fishermen onto that ship and bringing them to land. But I mean, that seems too easy to do. There had to be something that was opposing him to the extent where he couldn't even do that. And that ship was massive, bro. Like the One
Yeah.
Piece anime, when I was first watching it, I was like, damn, why can't Luffy destroy the ship? But when you really take into account how big the Sunny is bigger than Wall Maria in Attack on Titan, bro.
The Sunny's massive. It's just because of
It
the
is,
proportions of characters in One Piece, it's hard to tell.
bro. It is absolutely massive. It's bigger than the Titanic.
And the Vega
It is-
Force one, like you saw it picked up the Sunny in the palm of its hand. You can imagine
I
how huge that thing is, bro.
I heard the Vega Force one is as big as the Burj Khalifa, the highest, tallest thing in the tallest building in the world, which would make
Yeah.
sense. So like a ship like that, bro, is crazy. And it would also have a contrast too, because it makes you wonder, since One Piece does have a lot of similarities to real life. A lot. And it's
Yeah,
like,
a lot.
imagine if we have our own Void Century where we know about Joy Boy, which is basically God in our time, right? God in our real life, Jesus. But imagine if there was much more clear evidence that he actually existed. And those evidence, like the leftover Noah's Ark and just like
Oh,
his
like
own
the
homeland
evidence
where
we
he was
have is
buried,
just
they've destroyed it.
archaeological accounts, nails, his tomb, things like that.
And they've quote unquote confiscated all of that. And now it's
Exactly.
just like, and they've erased probably so much history, so much more history that we don't even know about, so much more landmarks that we don't even know about. And they're only giving us a sum of what happened during that time. We actually
A lot
will
of
have
things
a
in
real
One
life
Piece.
world century, bro.
There's a lot of things in One Piece that you can attribute to the real world and the governments, which is a joke. Definitely not true. Just totally just a
Yeah,
joke. There's
we're just
definitely things
speculating.
that aren't in the real world that are in One Piece.
We're
Definitely
just
isn't
speculating
child
right now.
slaves, know.
Yeah, bro.
But
We're just speculating right now. This is just all fun and
speculation, just a joke,
games.
not
Just
real.
joke. We don't believe this. This
But
conspiracy.
there is stuff that there's you can attribute like action. Definitely say like you could even say like like what is the economy in One Piece really like? Because you have the berries, but that's clearly like a government established
Though, so
system of currency.
I think how One Piece reflects on the real world. It reflects on real world problems to the T, right? But I think what it does is this is how the world is going to be when we get a future world government. That's exactly how it's
It
going
is
to be.
very
It's gonna,
much a story of the dangers and terrors of globalization and the
yes,
elites. Because you have things like the celestial dragons. Like, bro, I don't think people really think about it a lot. The reason why the Straw Hats got separated was because Luffy just punched a celestial dragon.
yeah,
Because
he just
he
punched
shot
them.
Hachi and killed Hachi.
Well, I don't even think Hachi died, right? He was in Fishman Island.
Oh wait, no, yeah, he didn't.
Yeah,
You don't
Oda
really
doesn't
die in
kill
One
people.
Piece, so. But yeah,
You forget that.
at least he was. For all Luffy knew, he was dead though. He went and defended his friend.
Yes,
He got the whole government. Like, they got a whole admiral to pull up. New
but it
pacifistas.
makes you
I mean, not
think,
pacifist. It
right?
was just Kuma. Yeah, you
Why
can't
are the world?
oppose an elite.
Why are they so special? What do the celestial dragons do? Why are they held to such? And I think we're going to learn more about that. They probably hold a lot of value in the world. They probably created a lot of the things like I'm not sure about the One Piece economy, but sort of like how gas and that certain family that we can't say on TikTok
Yep.
owns a lot of, basically owns all the banks, owns all the gas companies, stuff like that. I believe they play a role in the One Piece world like that as well.
Oh yeah, 100%, absolutely. A matter of finding out how this all ends up working, because I'm sure we will get an actual in-depth explanation as the years
And
progress.
I do believe that. So my theory for Nika, he's an actual god, sort of comparing to Jesus. I think there's going to be a huge contrast to Jesus and the Christianity religion when it comes to Nika, sun god. I believe that he came down to earth, sort of like a messenger like Jesus, but he was just the actual God. And he gave him and Eve, basically Adam and Eve, which is Eem, who is Mother Earth, gave all these powers to the things, right? And gave the tree of life, which is going to be an Elbaf. Which isn't that like what's the tree name?
Tree of life, I think. No,
I think so. I think it's the
tree of
tree of
wisdom,
something.
something like that.
And they
Wisdom
birthed
tree.
that, created the ancient kingdom, which I think the ancient kingdom probably is a landmass that expands across the entire world like a, what is it, supercontinent. And I
Super
think
like
that's
Pangea.
what, yeah, like a Pangea. It's just basically a huge ass landmass that expands across the entire world. And that's what I think the red line is. I think one of Eames' powers, one of the ancient powers, just covered it up. And that's why Eam is able to go downstairs onto just the ancient kingdom. And I think the
In
ancient.
terms of Eames, just overall power, really.
Mhm.
So in the game One Piece Bounty Rush, there's two teams that you can play on. The Suns, which we know is Joy Boy, or you can play on the Oceans, which, as far as we know, that kind of implied that
Potentially.
Eames' power is the power of the ocean, that she is Mother Ocean,
Hmm.
that she cast out people who use devil fruits because of Joy Boy. So, man, it's just,
I
she
do
could have a
believe
power
that.
like that to affect continents.
I believe that Eam was greed. She was very greedy. She was more of. I do believe that Joy Boy was the good one. When in a world where good exists, there's always bad. There's always the opposite. Eam is the polar opposite. She was greed. She wanted power, wealth, fame, all of that stuff. Right? Joy Boy wanted a world where everybody can live free. And as the world, because these people are immortal. These are immortal gods. And
Yep.
so Eam created you know, as the kingdoms got established, she was the head of the ancient kingdoms, right? The five families, sort of how it is in our real life, the 13 families, but we can't mention that. That established the treaty between all of them, and they all came together to basically kill Joy Boy and establish this world where everybody can have power. Well, they can stay on the top and rule the world, and Joy Boy was the one standing away from that. So what they did was they killed Joy Boy, extracted his power, which was basically the Nika fruit as it is right now, but it was to a much greater scale, and they planted the tree of Eden, right? I think that's what it called, the devil fruit tree, with his fruit, and he just started spawning out. His fruit just started spawning out everything else, all these new
Oh, so
devil fruits. His
we're going with
power.
the route that the Luffy's fruit, the gum, we'll just call it the gum gum fruit. The gum gum fruit was the first devil fruit.
Yes, I do believe that it wasn't the first devil fruit, but it was the most important one because that was the one that was basically Nika's fruit. But it wasn't a fruit at first. She planted the seed to the Garden of Eden, basically, like the tree of Eden, where it's like she extracted something from him to plant that tree, and that tree started sprouting out devil fruits, basically. Which could
What we
explain.
know is that devil fruits came from people wishing that they had
Mhm.
abilities to do
and
things.
what is Nika? He's a god, and I think he was the god of just he had godly powers, and I think Eve didn't, and I think that's what made her. I think Eames' name is Eve, and I think that's what made her resent him, basically, because he was the person that had the power, and they all came together and killed him. She extracted maybe his heart, probably that's what makes sense. She extracted his heart from him, planted it in the tree, and it started sprouting out the fruits. She ate the strongest one, which is probably similar to his godly powers. But the Gomu Gomu fruit was basically the one that carried on his will. Because I think one of his favorite powers probably was to stretch like rubber, which would make sense.
Also, do you think there's more to it than just the
Yeah,
rubber?
I think there was more to it, bro. Like I think he was a full-fledged god back in the day, which would make sense why everybody adored him. And then after they killed him, they basically, with one of the powers, covered up all of the ancient kingdom around the world, this huge Pangea. That's why the sea level started rising, because it was just such a big landmass, that it started just taking over the sea at that point. And now she's the one on top, ruling the world, and there's really nothing that anyone can really do about it other than just like, all right, we need to basically take apart the world government and reveal her to the world. And I think that's I think that's just going to ruin her plans, and she's just going to go all out at that point.
I mean, we already know that Eames just doesn't care. Like she wanted to just test it on Volusia.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, I think Volusia is one of the ones closest to the it's one of the islands closest to Mary Joie, which I think Mary Joie is probably a very remote place. So that would make sense why they would choose that one, because it's the closest island to them.
Yeah.
I also think that it makes a lot of sense why the whole thing of will is crucial when it comes to devil fruits, because the person who carries on, like the person who eats the devil fruit basically carries on the last person's will. That's why you see Sabo, as soon as he ate his devil fruit, it's like he basically a completely new person, a new way of thinking, right? And that could be chalked up to the fact where it's like, all right, he wants to be a better role model for Luffy. But I also think it's based on the devil fruit changes the way you think, in a way.
Yeah. Speaking of
Yeah.
wills, still got to talk about rocks. Now that you've mentioned that, you said that maybe Shanks has a role to maintain how things are, villain by omission. What if God Valley fight between rocks with Garp and Roger was rocks trying to stop Roger from doing something with the world, changing the world? Maybe it's not bad. Maybe. I'm trying to think, because we know that it's implied that Blackbeard with the Yami Yami no Mi has the will of rocks. I don't know if Rocks was even like a villain. No, he was still maybe trying to do something that he at least thought was the right thing.
I don't think Rocks was a bad man. I truly don't. I think he was more of a warrior type person, somebody that Kaido can look up to. Probably a very masculine man.
I mean, he must have been someone that Kaido and Whitebeard looked up to, if we're talking about masculinity.
Mm-hmm. Like I don't think he's more of a like a Luffy kind of character where it's just like, oh, he's good, like just doing his thing, right, living life freely. I do think he was sort of like, I wouldn't say dictatorship, but he had that like seriousness to him when he wanted to, and he was a crazy man. But that's what made his crew respect him. That he was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But going along with my last point with the sun god thing, it would make sense that him and Eve created the world together, right? And they basically fought over it. all the time. Allied nations. But that also kind of contradicts. Well, I wouldn't say contradicts it because it could. I was gonna say it also kind of contradicts the point of him making the promises to the Fishman Kingdom and him, being an established character there. But it also can reinforce the fact that, after Eam started taking and destroying a lot of the kingdoms and turning against him, she basically divided them. I don't know. I think it's a pretty complicated thing to think about now that you think about it.
It's
I
very
do.
complicated, but there's a lot that
It,
goes into
it,
a lot of
it,
this.
it, now it's kind of making my brain hurt. Maybe okay. Just think. Maybe my theory with Joy Boy being an actual god and Ian being an actual god as well can work, but the original Joy Boy, like the Joy Boy that we know, that wasn't the first one that came. The original person was probably somebody else in the past with Ian that created this world, and then she took its power and it started this
Mm.
establishment with the world government. But it wasn't full. Somebody had the. It wasn't fully established like it is now. Somebody ate the gummo gummo fruit and awakened it pretty quickly. But at the same time, it's just a feeling. It's like a brain. It's like hurting my
Yeah, bro.
brain.
Because it's there's just so much you got to think about. There's a lot of factors.
Okay, I think I think it could work that Eam and Joy Boy were gods,
Yeah,
and
I think it could too.
their nations spanned it upon sort of like an Adam and Eve thing, right? They're not technically gods, but they're descendants from gods, maybe, or something like that. And they got sent to Earth. And that would tie in with, one of them wanted to rule and the other one wanted freedom, which basically Eam wanted the freedom. Not Eam wanted freedom. Eam wanted to rule, Joy Boy wanted freedom. And they kept clashing about that until Eam took action in creating the Allied Nations to take down Joy Boy, right? Because he was very strong, he was very powerful. He had the power of creation. Boom. Joy Boy has the power of creation. He can create anything at will. Anything.
I mean, yeah,
Whether
that
that
makes sense. Honestly, if
he
he's
can
supposed to be like a Jesus kind of role,
Mhm.
that would make sense.
That would make sense. He can give people powers. He can create things like Joy Boy can create anything, any construct, right? And he was looked at as a god. He is the sun god, for example, because he shines as bright as the sun. That's his aura, right? As soon as you're in proximity with him, it's just you feel that light that he has. He's a light of hope, basically. So, and Eam wanted that. Eam doesn't have any powers, I don't think. Well, Eam didn't at that point. I don't think she had any, and I think that's why she resented him because he was the god that everybody looked up to. And she wanted power. She just couldn't have him because Eam was just Jorgo was too strong. So, you know, after the Allied nations come to fruition, her plans start, which was basically a long, long, long year plan. Like this plan spanned over like 20 years, 10 years, where she just destroying all the destroying kingdoms, separating the fishmen with the other people, right? And Joy Boy's just trying to catch up with all this. It's happening so quickly since all the established kingdoms are just working all in tandem with each other. That's why he's trying to make promises to the fishermen. Okay, we're gonna get this figured out. We're gonna get this figured out. Boom. He's going on to these other places, and he realized that he doesn't have much time left because they're going after him now. They're really powerful. She somehow, maybe extracted a bit of his DNA and was able to create the first couple devil fruits, which I think the girls they have. They were the people that took him down.
Oh
And
yeah, like that honestly makes a whole lot of sense.
and maybe he had mythical pets, sort of like Zunisha. Maybe he had mythical pets and she extracted it from them. Like basically his mythical beasts, his mythical warriors. like he had an army, and maybe she killed them and extracted those powers and made the I can extract his power. And then boom, the power of creation, right? So boom, she kills his steed, his five animal or whatever they were, hybrids, creatures that defended him, gave them to the Gorosei. They're destroying everything. They're separating the world, part of her plans. He realizes that he can't take them all, right? They're just too powerful. He created them too strong, and they're turning against him, basically. And he creates the poneglyphs, the indestructible poneglyphs. Nothing can break them out of something. I forgot what the material was. They did explain that it's a certain material. Created the
Speaking of the
poneglyphs so that
poneglyphs, we know that Nefertari D. Lily did something with them. I think it was
yeah,
she was the reason they were spread, right?
I think Nefertari Lily was because the kingdoms got established over the years. Like these people are actual gods, so they've been a part of the world for forever. They were the people sitting. Joy Boy was the person sitting on that ancient throne. It was his throne, and Eve resented him for it because she wanted the power, right? So these are actual gods. The people looked up to them, and she actually resented that. So going on with the story, eventually they got to him, and there was this final battle. Obviously, Joy Boy is a pot. He's God of creation, basically. So he can create anything that will, but it's still just they're too strong. They overwhelmed him, and he has a heart of gold, and he doesn't want to kill his friends, basically, and he doesn't want to kill Eve. So I think he basically pulled a OP move and just surrendered, let himself die. But he knew in the future that there would be somebody that would carry on as well. And he cursed the fruits, basically. Because he cursed his power, basically, to the point where like people wouldn't be able to swim or something like that. I think Joy Boy was probably the one that put that curse on. And then he cursed Zunisha as well to walk until she was the last one standing. And I think she probably allowed him to do it to his steed, right? She was the
Yeah.
last one alive. So he punished her by having her travel through thousands of years to meet the new Joy Boy that comes. And he made sure that in the future, whenever she extracts his fruit, that one, it would have a mind of its own, and two, it would carry on his will specifically because she thinks she has basically a similar fruit to Luffy, where it's like creation and she can do certain things. And she felt that that was his power, but he put it in his one of his favorite powers, which was rubber. And being able to expand and put, being able to make all these goofy faces and make people laugh. That was basically his favorite power, and he put his will into that one, right? So that basically explains why Luffy has the properties of rubber, but then he can basically have the properties of creation as well, half and half of his favorite powers. And Ian probably just has a small portion of that. And it's like, I'm not sure, bro. This is just one of those crazy One Piece series. But I think Joy Boy also had basically a Leviathan transformation. He was all in one. He was a Paramecia,
I mean, I
Zoan.
think we can kind of even guess that Eam has some sort of Leviathan type
Mhm.
fruit that's
The
part of
wor-
being Mother Ocean.
Jormungandr, the world serpent. I think that was probably his fruit. Like that was probably the transformation that he transferred into. The serpent that is able to wrap around the entire world, similar to how the red line is able to wrap around the entire world. I think that's one of the powers. I think Eam has multiple powers, sort of like how my prediction of Joy Boy did in his heyday. He's just a god, god of creation. Similar to Luffy, although Luffy doesn't know that he's able to tap into it. And after they killed him, after he sent Zunisha to this crazy, crazy, crazy journey, um, The Allied nations came. Maybe she used that world serpent power to cover up the Pangea uh, ancient kingdom, and boom, it's now here. She took his straw hat as basically like a memento, remembrance of him, because obviously they're probably related or were a couple or something like that. And then she planted his seed, extracted his heart from him, planted his seed into the world tree, created devil fruits, and basically gave the best ones to her, admirals, had them pass it down, create the world government, and now this is where we are today. All the allied nations basically are still here, or they just reduced it down to just the four Gorosei.
I mean,
And
yeah,
also,
that could be it, bro.
I think it's something similar to that. Obviously, not to the extent. Maybe Joy Boy isn't even a god. Maybe he's just a man. They just somehow got the devil fruit. They do have. I do think they do go back to the beginning of the world, though. It would make sense why it would be that way. The ancient kingdom, because them just coming into this established world where devil fruits already exist. I don't think it would be very fulfilling. I mean, not saying that it wouldn't be, but I think it would be better being like they are actual deities and they came to this world because it was created by God, which was Joy Boy, and he wanted that to be his homeland, his home world in the universe. And all these other aliens, right? There are aliens in One Piece. All the other races came to that world since it was the biggest. And he wanted just to have a world full of freedom, like a home world, where anybody can meet him, anybody can talk to him. But, you know, they destroyed that, and Eam wants that. But she can't have that because she doesn't have the full power of creation. Joy Boy does, which is Goofy.
There you
And
go.
but the thing is though, right? This can this one point can easily contradict my whole story. And that is that the girls say no, that the fruit, quote unquote, the fruit hasn't been awakened in 800 years. So that means that it was a devil fruit, basically, and not just his power.
If you think about it, also speaking of the whole 800 years thing, said it was specifically it hadn't been awakened. Doesn't necessarily mean someone else didn't have it. So if there could still be a theory that someone at one point did have the gum gum fruit, but which is a little, it could play into something like you could say that there was supposed to be like multiple Joy Boy candidates.
Mhm.
And maybe they failed, and so the fruit kept going, or maybe they were doing it. Roger said they might have still been too early, so there was no point. They had his will, but they weren't ready.
Yeah, I think that's the way. I think honestly, that's the way it could be going. I think the whole Void Century is just so confusing, and I think that's a good thing because it's not predictable, bro. Like Oda is such a masterful story writer. It's like we can't even wrap our heads around what possibly happened in the Void Century, which is sort of similar than the people that know a bit about it. They couldn't even figure out the truth of what actually happened back then. We're not even gonna know until we get an actual flashback. And that's why I like it. The thing about the One Piece fandom, people talk about how we always make theories and all of them are incorrect, which some are, some aren't. But the thing that they don't realize is that this isn't like Naruto where you can just predict the end of the story. Like I've seen so many Naruto predictions back in the day when the Great Ninja War was going on what would happen. Like, oh yeah, Naruto's gonna either beat Namatera or, you know, they are talking about the what's it called, God. So Kagi is probably gonna come out and they're gonna fight her.
Yep.
Naruto and Sasuke are gonna fight. You know, the last battle that everybody's been waiting for the whole years, and then Naruto's gonna become Hokage and win. I've seen so many theories on that, and it literally came true. But with
Because
One Piece,
it's just a very predictable kind of story.
yeah, One Piece is not predictable at all. I'm on OJ, by the way. I was gonna try to just randomly invite you. Um, the thing about that is, it's like y- it's not predictable. So it's like we don't know what's gonna happen. Like I don't think, and I guarantee you, bro, there's probably things that we already predicted But I think the One Piece is something that nobody has ever predicted, bro. Similar to Gear 5. I remember the Gear 5 theories on what it is. Nobody even predicted that it would be like a Zoan fruit or something else because it was just out the picture. It's never been seen before. We
Yeah,
all
no.
thought Luffy was going to be Resin Man, which would make a lot of sense if he's rubber, but he's not. So it's like, what else is there?
Exactly.
It's crazy, man. Well, for the last topic of the night, let's talk about One Piece Pirate Warriors 4 and the new DLC and what's to come.
Yes. So far, it's pretty solid. I gotta say, overall, having three characters at once is very nice. So for some
Yeah.
variety, even though two of them are just different forms for pre-established characters, Luffy, Kaido, Yamato.
Well,
Yamato is definitely the one that had the most effort put into her.
oh yeah, bro. Yamato is crazy. I'm more of a I usually play as Hybrid Kaido and Gear 5 Luffy. I haven't really been touching her like that, but even just with the me upgrading her, I could tell that she's just been absolutely crazy,
You know,
bro. Like
she's pretty solid.
absolutely solid, bro. And it's very crazy to think about. I think though one thing that I wouldn't say disappointed or sad about, but one thing that I wish they did wasn't just go the route and make Luffy a sky type because even in the anime, he's not really flying like that. Like he's bouncing on the ground. He's not even bouncing on the air that much. If you really want to think about it. He's typically on the ground laughing or he's on the ground just walking around doing his thing, you know, jumping from place to place, bouncing around place to place, making things rubber. So to have him fly basically is like, oh snap, that's crazy. We haven't seen him do that, which we know he can fly, but it's like, you know, I wanted them to make him a technique type. It would have made Luffy have every single category. Power, flight, speed, and technique. And then Gear 5 would have just been so intricate. Like it does sort of kind of feel a bit underwhelming, in my opinion, to play him because he only has like 5 things to do.
Yeah, I gotta say,
Really.
other than Bajran Gun, just not like not a lot of whole lot of substance in terms of how
Mhm.
they could have done it. I do like his little lightning spin for his triangle.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
is real
like
good.
other than like playing him for the first time, really fun. He's good to just kind of shred, but he kind of just ends there as he's just a new shred character.
And
To quickly clear missions.
I think part of the reason to why that is obviously this is only Pirate Warriors 4. We're probably going to get a Pirate Warriors 5 in the next coming year or two. Maybe we're probably going to get it announced next year or so, but probably it's going to get released in 2 years. Just makes sense. Elbaf is probably going to be like almost entering the mid section and it's going to be starting in the anime. So it would make sense to be like, all right, Elbaf prediction arc. Let's go. We at least need to have a main villain, so it's going to be Loki. And that's when they're going to release Pirate Warriors 5. And then Gear 5, hopefully, he will be a more grounded character and not just like the same one, which I don't think they're going to do. Like, if you look
See,
at how
the
different.
thing is about Gear 5 is that we're only just now getting more named attacks. They are just variants of pre-established attacks. So there's Booming White, or no, it's like Booming Dawn Stamp. He just now used the Stamp one against Kizaru. Um, and then Booming Dawn Rocket, which he used when he turned the metal little pipe into a slingshot with rubber.
Mhm.
So
Eh,
it's just gonna have to be a matter of waiting for Pirate Warriors 5 because it's not like they can just edit Gear 5's moveset in the DLC. I mean, there's nothing
Yeah.
stopping them from doing that, but then it would be like, oh well, they just went back and changed it later, and
And
by then nobody's really playing it.
I hope in the next Pirate Warriors, the way they tackle Gear 5 and the way that they tackle transformations. So, transformations, I hope that the transformations are able to have their own customizable move set collection, especially for Luffy, because they can't fit
Yes.
all those. They can't fit all those moves in the already base Gear 4 because he has like 15, 25, 30 new moves added to his old one that he does in the manga. So like it would be like, all right, he can add the Kong Gatling here, he can add the Kong Orgun here, all this. And what I want them to do for Gear 5 is add his muscle form as a transformation in a transformation, basically. Like he'll turn it like you transform in the muscle form while you're in his awakened form, and then you just have a completely different move set. Like sort of like tech like I hope they do go like the technical route and just give you a whole bunch of free will and free ability when it comes to the transformations.
Yeah, it would definitely just be very, very fun, better way to
Hmm.
play the game. It's just even if they want to do a Pirate Warriors 5, because if honestly, if they just pull off a solid 2D fighter or whatever fighter, want to solely update that, I'm fine with that too.
Hmm.
It's just the thing is, I think clearly a One Piece fighter is proving to be a difficult challenge to pull off because of how much that goes into the power system in One Piece. Really not
Yeah,
that
I mean,
complex. You have to balance out. Okay, Loki is touched, so you got to have like a little rest period for where they can't activate it. Rocky breaks Loki is.
and
Parameci, like, it's just there's a lot that goes into it.
that's why I'm hoping for a 2D fighter because basically all of that kind of goes out the window because it's just like free range at that point. But they can still add the hockey and Logia aspect. It'll just be more of a it'll be more toned down. Like people without hockey can attack Logias, but I think Logias will have like a certain gauge, sort of like hockey users, sort of like Burning Blood. But the gauge runs out very, very, very quickly. So that they're not even that immune to things. Sort of like how Ultra Instinct in Fighter Z works, where you press a button and then you're able to dodge. But with
Yeah,
that, I don't think it's going to be as fast paced as I think it's going to be as fast, almost as fast paced as Fighter Z, but it's going to be a bit more slowed down just because it's more technical, you know. But I
yeah,
think the
absolutely.
movement is going to be more or less the same. You're still going to have like the air dodges, the air dashes. I hope that they just do it right, you know, just really do it right, bro.
Yeah, I think in due time we will finally have a proper One Piece fighting game because Burning Blood isn't exactly a good for long term. I will say, like for what it is, Burning Blood as the fighting game, it's not really a fighting game. It's much just arena, but it definitely is very fan servicey, which is good for One Piece. I think
Mm-hmm.
if we're gonna get a 2D fighter, then it needs to have that good fan service. I mean, kind of like with Dragon Ball Fighters, it's very fan servicey.
Oh yeah, they
They
deliver.
have like the dramatic finishers. You can do that with One Piece. Um, but it's like, yeah, they just really got to pull it off, and they can't be scared to do it just because they think One Piece won't sell as much as a Naruto or Dragon Ball Fighter.
Well, the thing about a One Piece fighter is that it can't be an asshole. Like you can create a new Storm game every year, and people are gonna buy it because it's just like, all right, Storm. But with One Piece, it hasn't been an established, it doesn't have its own established fighting game or franchise. Like Dragon Ball has Xenoverse right now, or the Tenkaichi series, but One Piece doesn't have that.
Yeah,
So it's
exactly.
like,
It's just all they had to go off of is very, very old games. Nothing really new moving.
and that's why I'm scared. I want them to try something either pre-established or new, but I also don't want them to just go ahead and just be like, all right, let's just make a shitty game like a My Hero One's Justice 2 and just never update it, you know.
Right, I don't want that. And I really don't even really want a 3D fighter. I think a 2D. We're due for a good 2D fighter from One Piece.
We are due for a Cthulhu fighter for One Piece.
What else? I think we kind of covered pretty much everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a matter of whether or not, well, like what can we expect in the near future? Like, so we've got our DLC coming out for Pirate Warriors. It'll be great. You know, you got the film Red, Kobe, Shanks, Uta, and then Prime, Garp, Rayleigh, and Roger. We're set on that. That's probably going to be out by the end of, I want to say like by mid next year, we'll have all of the DLC. That's kind of a gauge I've got. But
Mid next
we've
year.
got
Yeah.
season 2. I think they said that as soon as the strike is over, it could probably take up to 18 months from that point to get it out, which is only a little concerning. I don't mind waiting even a little bit longer as long as it's still good. So yeah, we've got that. I think next chapter is a break. 2 chapters we had were consecutive, which had been for the first time in a while because it was just breaks
Yeah.
every other week.
I was
So
sort
we're
of
good
getting
on
tired
that.
of it, bro. Like I'm not impatient, but it's like seeing people cover the same chapter over and over again. It's just like,
Oh yeah, no, it was pretty bad, bro. Pretty fucking bad. The only person I can watch multiple chapter reviews on the same thing is Tekking, and that's usually because he covers different aspects of the chapter in one video, more spread out. But there's some people, bro, where it's just like talking about the same shit for 30 minutes. Not even 30 minutes. Those would be like 3 10-minute videos talking about the same thing
yeah, bro.
for like a very short chapter, which could easily be summed up. So it's just, yeah, we've got a lot to look forward to for One Piece. A lot of the big stuff has kind of already happened. We're gonna get our bounty reveals very soon with Green Bull, Shanks. Egghead's gonna be starting probably at the latest next year, January. Egghead should be starting. Depending
Oh
on
yeah.
how the anime handles that, because now that the anime is transitioning into the final saga, for all we know, they might even take a break of their own.
I don't think they're gonna do that.
I hope they don't,
That
but
they've been
I could
dickly
see them
for
doing that, to be honest, bro. I think my expectation is they've really got to fix the pacing. They really need to pick it up because the only thing holding them back from it is that because we haven't gotten a whole lot of content with the chapters, is that it could easily be caught up. If you think about it, the anime is really not that far behind. So they've got right now we've got the Kizaru fight. To get to that point, we have to do post Wano with the you have that episode where they're recovering, do Green Bull, Shanks, bounties, send them on their way. A little kind of like show a little bit of reverie. Talk about like, oh, Sabo did something type stuff. Okay. Have that established. You got to get the Flame Emperor. You have to do Amazon Lily, the siege on Amazon Lily. The flame, like I said, yeah, Flame Emperor. So Lelouch, have to get to Egghead. They have to walk around Egghead. Vegapunk.
yeah.
You
It's
gotta
just a
fight
whole bunch.
CP. There's a lot. Knowing Toei, they're gonna really stretch some of these things out. That they just can get a set pacing and really pick it up. Because one, it's a feel like it's just dragging on even more. Because going back to the Gear 5 episodes, yeah, they were pretty spread out. It felt like it's just to be continued almost. It was every time they showed something with Gear 5, it was right before that to be continued screen. So I really want them to pick up the pace and fix it. I don't think they will, to be honest. But that would be my expectation for entering to the final saga for the anime.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think that's it so far.
It was a good welcome back. Had a really nice discussion. Crazy
Yeah,
theory.
good returning episode, if I do believe. All
I
right,
enjoyed
so should we call it wraps or are we heading out?
Sure thing, man. We can call
About
it
2 hour stream, so
Oh
thank you for
man, that's a
tuning
lot.
in on this episode of the Wanted Podcast. Hopefully we can get some more out next few weeks at the latest.
Yeah, that's all.